So it was a beautiful morning this morning. I think I texted you this morning that Peyton and I had to go get the last of our CSA boxes for the season.
So what does
And
CSA stand for? I don't know if we've ever identified that.
Community shared agriculture. Community.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I don't remember what the S stands for. I think it's community shared agriculture. Basically, what it means is there's a group of farmers in my area, and this is every area. I think you can get this pretty much anywhere.
Like a regional thing, right?
It's everywhere. And you pay a fee, so you pay a subscription, and every week they give you a box full of vegetables.
And it varies right from week to week.
Yep, and depending on the time of the season, like the one I got today, there was a lot of sweet potatoes and butternut squash and stuff like that. But at the beginning of the season, there was a lot of collard greens and stuff like that.
So seasonal type.
Very seasonal, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
It's been phenomenal, especially during the pandemic. It's been a wonderful way to get vegetables. And the only problem we have is we can't eat them fast enough because there's so much. Now we could get the smaller size, but I've seen the smaller size and it cuts it in half.
It's too
and we'd run out too quickly. So it's kind of a.
Do you freeze anything, or can you dry and freeze or whatever?
I think next year, because like I said, this is the end of the year, so we have a few months to go before it starts up again in the spring. I think next year we're going to focus on trying to can things and see if we can save some stuff that way. Nice. We just weren't prepared this year for that because we didn't know. It was the first time we had done it.
And even if there is some waste, it's still inexpensive compared to a lot of other alternatives, right?
By far, yeah. With all the stuff that we get, it's incredible.
We, I don't know if I told you, but in our condo that we recently moved into, the previous owners, I'm guessing it was them, maybe even before them, planted grapevine. And so it's around the lower deck, which happens to get a lot of sun. And we didn't know what to expect. We just saw the grapevines all wound up like a normal deck. It's got railing, and they're all like wound in between all the rails and everything. And and I was rolling my eyes.
Deck, but
what's that?
Not good for the deck, but still kind of cool.
And it's fine because they recently stained it. It looks like so it's in good shape. The deck is. But I was, rolling my eyes thinking, oh, great. What, I have no idea what to expect. Well, this vine that went around this relatively small, probably a 12 by 12 deck, produced so many grapes.
What kind of grapes? Like wine grapes or like eating grapes?
Yes. In fact, it didn't really click with us, but the previous owners, when we looked at the place before we bought it, had like a wine tasting room right in this room in my office.
Oh, nice.
And so they had a table in the corner, and so they bottled their own wine, which I did a little research on because I thought, maybe that would be kind of fun to do, but it's stupid expensive.
Yes, it is.
And really involved.
Yes.
And once you get it bottled, you have to wait for 2 years to drink it. I'm sorry. I need more immediate fulfillment.
Well, I'm in search of a good hobby. And I almost said inexpensive hobby, but nothing I do is inexpensive. I'm just going to throw that out there. If Jen were here,
I have a harley-davidson,
kiss me for saying that. Yeah, exactly. I really wish I could find a cheap hobby, but I do have one, and that I like actually making survival bracelets, paracord bracelets. I love doing that. So but I don't really do that very much. And Jen said, unless you're going to start selling them, I need you to stop making them. Anyway, that said, one of the things I wanted to try to start doing was making beer. So you can get those home kits. We have some great beer shops here in Nashville.
So you buy the hops,
buy the hops. You can make your own recipes and things like that. It's a lot of fun, but it's also very involved. And as much as I like to putz, I can only putz for a few hours. Not because I don't have the focus to do it. I could do that all day long. Mm-hmm. It's just, do I have time to actually do it?
Sure.
Because it takes away from so much stuff, and we travel a lot, which is kind of where we're headed with the CSA stuff as well. But we travel a lot, and we're getting back to traveling quite a bit, and that sort of hobby is very difficult to do because when I come home, I really just want to spend time with my girls.
Or you could just take the beer stuff with you on the road.
A little bit more difficult than you would think.
No, maybe it needs a little sloshing in the trunk, and then you take it all into your hotel room and
there you go.
Try
well, I
it
could
out.
probably boil it on the engine, just like the Jeep meals. I had a cookbook once that had Jeep meals that you could make everything you could make on the engine block of a Jeep.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I would absolutely love to do that. And Jen and I on our dream thing, not that this one will ever happen, so it's not even a bucket list item, was one thing that if we had unlimited funds, we would totally buy a vineyard somewhere.
Oh,
which, by the way, I did pass one in Illinois this past week that was for sale.
Really?
Also had 5 outbuildings, and I was tempted. I definitely, I don't think it would ever have happened, but I was tempted to stop and look it up.
Did you? Well, why don't you?
I don't, because I have a brown thumb. That's the biggest problem.
There are several things I could say right now, but I'm not going to choose any of them.
Yeah, well, sticking your thumb up your ass type of
I
thing.
wasn't going to say that. No, I was mostly going to say
that's what you were thinking.
You should double up your toilet paper then. They roll it sometimes.
right.
Wow.
Right.
But anyway, that would be I could. So we visited some of the wineries in Napa. And,
yes, isn't that
gosh?
We did that in 2015.
Yeah,
that was the year I graduated from USC.
Yes.
So we went out to LA for graduation and stayed. Jen had never been to Los Angeles, and I've been many, many times. Obviously,
sure.
That's why I chose USC.
Of course.
So we went to LA and I showed her around LA a little bit. She still she always thought she would hate LA, and she still hates LA. No offense to our friends who are from LA or live in LA right now, but she doesn't like it. So then we took the PCH up to San Francisco and then went up to Napa and Sonoma.
Oh,
and
nice.
Stayed out there for a week.
Nice.
And did
That's a nice
same
drive
thing.
too. Big Sur.
It was beautiful. And we rented a little BMW.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, well, and it was the perfect time of year too. Yeah. Just it was spring, and it was gorgeous.
Very nice.
If we would have done it differently to make it a little bit better, we would have probably taken even more time and actually stopped for a couple of nights going up the PCH. We only stopped in Monterey.
Oh, that's too bad.
A night or two there, and
would have been fun to stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah, I had never done the PCH. I had stayed all up. If you went up in different locations in California, but I had never just done that road.
And for our listener friends in Iowa, that stands for Pacific Coast Highway.
Right. Highway 1.
Yes. Okay. Now, there is also A1A. Where is that highway?
Oh God. Why are you doing? Can I show you? I only have, this is my first cup of coffee on a Saturday. It's not even halfway gone yet.
This is unusual for us too. Actually, often, if we record during the week, it's at night, and
we're drinking for us heavily
in the morning. Well, we have. That's happened.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, that's right. Like they don't know.
What are you talking?
I'm not saying sound different this time, but yes, we're in the morning.
Sounds more morningish.
Yes, you have no whiskey in your coffee. Is that fair to say?
I didn't say that.
Okay. That explains a lot.
It does.
The A1A is in Florida, and that's the
one that goes out to the Keys.
Yeah, it's parallel to Federal, which is US 1 in many parts of the area or parts of Florida. But it's a wonderful a stretch of highway, and it's on the ocean side. So does it go all the way to the Keys? I don't.
I think so.
Okay, it may. I don't really.
I'm not sure about that. That's another place I haven't gone. That's on my bucket list to take a really nice drive down the Keys in a convertible.
I just love the Keys, and we did do Key West. Made the mistake though of flying into Miami and then driving to Key West rather than flying in directly. That was waste.
See, I would like to do that.
5 hours. Oh gosh. Well, again, if you take your time, but our goal was to get to Key West, so we got stuck.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't have that goal. The goal would be the drive,
the trip. Yeah, I know. I'd and on that same thinking, I'd love to do Route 66 sometime too.
That's fun. We've done parts of it because it doesn't exist in total anymore.
No, it does not. But even taking it from Southern Illinois, all the way down as far as it goes, at least. But yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
So speaking of travel, as we were briefly before we started recording, I just got back from a week on the road via airfare, which is usually mine. Yours is usually driving.
Yep. And I did the same this week too.
Yep. But from what I understand, you don't wear a mask while you're driving. Is that right?
That is correct. I do not wear a mask when I'm driving.
It has totally changed the dynamic in the airports.
Yeah.
I was at Denver, and so good and bad. The meeting ended early. So that was the good. The bad was
right.
I had
anyone who's listening. That was horrible. That was bad.
It was. I hate when meetings end early. I love long meetings.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I had about 3 hours to burn at Denver at the
which
airport.
Is usually a good airport to burn time at.
Exactly, because lots of restaurants and fun but everybody, I swear I did not see a single person out of the thousands I saw that wasn't wearing a mask. Everybody had them on. And of course on the planes, and I got to give kudos to Southwest. I don't fly them a lot or haven't to this point. They have it figured out on how to do it correctly, and they've kept the middle seats empty on the flights. So at most it was 2/3 full. But they require people to keep their masks on over their mouths and noses while in the plane.
Nice.
And it's kind of a hassle. I freely admit it. I sat there for 3 hours with a mask on, just sitting, waiting for my flight, and then another 2 during the flight. I could not wait to rip that thing off when I got,
was it at least the PoddiMouths masks?
One of the I didn't bring that one with me.
You should have brought that one. That would have been great because it's more comfortable.
I should buy more.
You should, and it fits your face just perfectly. I know because I don't have any.
And your face is massive.
Oh, my face masks are. I did get one. So we've had in previous conversations the discussion about MeUndies.
Yes,
MeUndies. The company now makes masks, and you can get the designs on there. So for Halloween, the micromodal fabric, and they are not a sponsor. Hopefully someday they will be. But I got ones with cobwebs all over them for Halloween.
That's awesome.
So anyway, but it's the same type of thing. And really what I was trying to do was pump up the merch store. If you want a PoddiMouths mask, you should head to our merch store, which can be found at PoddiMouths.com.
I have had a
shameless plug there.
I have had several people ask me, what is that? What does that say on your mask? In fact, I went in, I think the last time I wore it, so it's probably in the Harley bags. I rode the Harley to get my monthly blood tests, labs done. And and I had that mask on, and they were asking me at the clinic, what does that say? It's PoddiMouths, PoddiMouths.com if you'd like to know more. And I spread it out so they could see it. They loved it. Yeah.
I wish people could actually see what you did with your face there. That would have been epic. I'm not even going to describe it.
It was just giving you the stretch thing. So
the stretch thing. Yeah.
Okay, yes, I did do that with my face. Thank you for telling our audience. Most of them think I'm sitting here with a suit on and I'm all, oh, wow, that John is very proper. I think
no, never.
All right.
I mean, that's just a suit. I'm usually sitting here in a tux.
Yeah, you do often wear a tux. I was a little disappointed last week. You did not wear your usual carnation.
Yeah, I don't remember what I wore last week. Probably nothing. Anyway, back to travel. So 3 hours, 5 hours in a mask.
Yeah,
very uncomfortable. So I actually, my meeting this past week, one of my meetings was with a couple of our team members, in addition to myself. So it wasn't just the dealer. And they had to fly in as well. And one person who has been on the podcast, hi, Matt, he actually, he came in and he flew an airline who shall remain nameless.
At least until Matt tells us about it.
Until Matt tells us exactly. And he said they crammed them in like sardines. Like he said they don't give a shit. They just stuff everybody in. I'm like, really?
Wow.
Yeah. So stay away from that airline. I won't name it, but
whatever it is.
Unless you're perfectly comfortable getting crammed in.
I don't know why you wouldn't name it. Wow. They're probably sponsors.
They are sponsors. Absolutely.
Shut
Yeah.
up. We don't have any airline sponsors. We need airline sponsors. And it should be Southwest because they actually were terrific. I was
Right. I
very
mean, they're going to have plenty of money coming here pretty soon. They could afford us.
Can you imagine how Southwest flight, I mean, their revenues are obviously going to go up based on what we say.
They always do. They always do stuff right. And the only thing quite honestly, the only thing I don't like about Southwest, I do like having an assigned seat. That's my only thing.
Look, it doesn't matter to me as long as I board early.
Yeah, if you board early, but you don't know, you're not always guaranteed of that. And my thing is, and the reason, folks, that I like to have my seat assigned, we've talked about it before. I love to fly. I am not scared of flying whatsoever. I'm not scared of airplanes. I'm not scared of turbulence. There's nothing on an airplane that really scares me unless we're going nose down. That would be bad. That would scare me. What scares me is I need access to a bathroom.
That should scare everyone else.
That should scare everyone else.
Yeah.
So I am very uncomfortable. I love looking out the window too, by the way, but I'm very uncomfortable if I sit in any other seat but an aisle seat. Because I just need to be able to get up and get to a bathroom.
Why don't you fly with like a Stadium Pal or something? One of those.
That's not the part that makes me nervous. I rarely pee on an airplane. I rarely have to.
Okay.
I'm just nervous because I have a nervous stomach. And, if something were to happen now I can, as much as I have flown, I don't fly nearly as much as you have, but I have flown quite a bit in my career and in my life. I have only had one time where that has ever happened to me where I actually had to get off the airplane.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I also was sitting in the window seat, ironically, when that happened. And I literally, thank God it was Southwest because they have the free booking. And I told the flight attendant, I said, I have to get off. I'm so sorry. My stomach is not doing well. And she let me off and I went up and then I got back to the gate after I was done doing what I needed to do. And they said, we've booked you on the next flight. Here you go. I didn't even have to ask.
That's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. So
now let me give you the flip side of rushing to the bathroom. I was flying. I'll never forget this. I was flying home from Vegas. And if you've been on a Las Vegas flight, at least pre-mask mandate coronavirus stuff, regularly, and I typically fly in the mornings, whether I'm going or coming home, because flights are very seldom canceled, the early flights. So on morning flights out of Vegas, you can count on someone being hungover.
Right. Yes.
In fact, sometimes
still drunk.
It's as much as half the plane. Some still drunk. There was a guy I think it was in an exit row, and he was one or two rows in front of me, and we are taxiing. And you could just tell he's a little skittery, and I don't think that's a word, but
it is now. I like it.
That's going to be
skittery. How do we spell that?
The Skittery.
Say that one more time.
Skittery.
Skittery. Okay, that's the first word in our new title. Go ahead.
Okay, God, I love that you're looking for that. You don't ever listen to me except for the words for the title.
That's truer words have never been spoken.
Skittery dickory dock or something like that.
Done.
Don't do it because you're going to spell dickory wrong.
Probably. How do you want me to spell dickory?
Forget it. There's only one way to spell dickory. You should know that. Anyway. So this guy, as we're taxiing, and if you fly, it's a no-no. Once we leave the gate, your ass is parked in that seat, buckled in, you don't do anything. And he was like shifting around in his seat, and I could tell his face was, sweaty, and he raced to the bathroom while we're taxiing.
Oh, no. And
they immediately, sir! And he goes in and shuts the door, and he's not going anywhere. And they immediately phoned the pilot, and he had to spin around and go back to the gate. He was clearly not happy. And the guy finally comes back, maybe looking a little sheepish. And the captain goes, all right, we're going to try this again. Hope everybody's okay now. And it was beautiful. And we're all like rolling our eyes. And so it delayed the flight probably at least 30 minutes.
Wow.
And, we were all so pissed at this guy.
Poor guy. You got to feel bad for the guy, though.
For sure, especially in hindsight. But at the moment, everybody just wants to get home.
Right.
It's Vegas.
Yeah.
No one ever says, I wish we would have spent a couple more days in Vegas. No one ever says.
No one ever. I have had my Vegas fill. I don't need to go back.
Yeah.
I probably will, because it's Vegas. But
you know what? I enjoy it, but only for, to our point, 2 or 3 days. That's
the food is great.
Are you kidding? If you can afford, or you are fortunate enough to work for a company that allows you to occasionally go out and have a nice dinner, oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. The food there is almost beyond compare.
Yeah,
almost.
Absolutely. Almost. Yeah. But you're speaking to one of my greatest fears. I have never once in my life, small planes, big planes, medium-sized planes, have ever gotten sick on an airplane.
Yeah.
But it's still one of my biggest fears. So I always look for the puke bag. I always look for the closest bathroom. I have to be in the aisle. I don't know why.
I enjoy all of that. And
you enjoy getting sick on an airplane?
Because I think it puts more interesting people next to you. I've never gotten sick on a plane. I'm also the same.
I've never even gotten sick on a boat. I've been on deep sea fishing type things, and everyone's puking over the side of the boat, and I'm just sitting there happy as can be. Well, I just never. Now that was a long time ago, so I've gotten older. I might probably get sick in a situation like that. But motion sickness has never been a problem, but it has still always been a fear of mine.
I find it interesting because I remember growing up when our family would travel regularly. Somebody got car sick. And you don't hear about it as much anymore, I guess. And I don't know if it's just because my son's grown, but I remember we went to my grandma's one place, and this is a car with, I think at the time it was just myself, my older brother, and my older sister. I don't think my younger brothers were born yet. And we're truly a mile, maybe a mile and a half away from my grandma's house. And it was a family outing, and we're, for some reason, we've got, groceries with us and stuff that we're bringing along. And my brother Dave, a mile and a half away from grandma's, hurled into the bag of groceries.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
Oh my goodness.
It was, that's the part, much like the Office episode, the cold open, where Pam is pregnant and she, everything's making her ill. And Dwight will come into the office and eat hard-boiled eggs, and he'll peel them in front of her, and it makes her sick. So the cold open is him doing that, and he's chewing on the egg, and he, just takes a bite out of it and stares at Pam. Pam lifts up, eye contact still with Dwight, lifts up her trash can, and hurls into it, and just wipes her lips and sets it down, and everybody in the office proceeds to get sick. Because she did. It was in my top 3 or 4 favorite cold opens on The Office.
Well, that's good. And speaking of cold opens and speaking of The Office, I think it's time. It's a good segue, by the way. It's time for Potty Corner.
Yes, we need to. We need music for that.
I will work on that.
Okay, would you please?
Yeah, in the next 6 weeks or maybe 6 months.
You have nothing but time.
No, yeah. Moving on.
Sorry.
That's all right. This week's Potty Corner is brought to you by
Bill Taylor,
a good old friend of the podcast, Bill Taylor.
Bill Taylor, also known as
Vehicle Nanny. I'm sorry. Yeah. I was thinking, and I was sorry, Bill. That was my bad. I was trying to do a nice introduction, and John stole it from me. So, but yes, Vehicle Nanny.
We can redo this. I know the editor.
You do. You do know the editor, and you know how busy he is.
He's a very handsome fella.
Isn't he, though?
No.
He's polished his head recently.
The glitter is killing me.
Yeah, I know.
Just kidding. You look fat.
Moving on.
Okay. Yeah, so Bill suggested that Potty Corner this week would be comparing to comedians. And I like
specific comedians.
Well, yeah, and I like his suggested comedians in that one is Jerry Seinfeld and one is Jim Gaffigan. So I'm going to let you, well, you can choose. It doesn't matter. But I'd like to hear your argument for which of those two you think is funnier or just a better comedian.
Okay, so this is tough. This is very, very difficult for me because, and I was thinking about it after I saw this, because I have a love-hate relationship with Jerry Seinfeld.
Do you know him personally?
No.
Oh.
I was not a fan, and we're going to get a lot of hate mail for this. I was not a fan of Seinfeld, the television show Seinfeld.
You pig.
Which is really funny because now we have a podcast that is kind of in that vein, you know, a show about nothing.
Yes, right.
But I just could never get into the show. It was never funny to me. There wasn't anything that really, really spoke to me. That said, I can't look past Jerry Seinfeld's success the fact that that show really made such an impact in our society and that people are still talking about it to this day. And he is still making millions off of this show.
Oh, of course. As he should be.
I can't really say that he isn't funny or funnier than another person because of that. So again, that's a very hard place for me to be. Now, Jim Gaffigan has been around for a long time, but not anywhere near the length or the time span that Jerry Seinfeld has been around.
True.
I do think Gaffigan is very funny. In some of the shows that I've seen him in, he's very, very funny. His stand-up is very, very funny. But I can't, in good faith, honestly say that Jim Gaffigan is better than Jerry Seinfeld.
Very well laid out.
Thank you.
It was.
Give me your opinion.
Well, so weighing the two and, you know, making sure that they both have, and recognizing they both have quite an impact culturally. Jim Gaffigan would say, I'm sure, that he has nowhere the impact that Seinfeld has, because how could you? That said, I think Gaffigan is more likable and affable.
I would agree with that.
Seinfeld has quite an ego.
Yes.
If you have, and when it's obvious when you watch his shows, and recently I've seen him on Comedians in Cars Drinking Coffee or whatever.
Yeah, which is a great show, by the way.
It's
I do like
funny.
that show.
Yeah, it's very funny. There are some cool parts, but it's clear that he's Seinfeld. So he does kind of wear that ego on his sleeve. What I find interesting is both the comedians about whom we're speaking are from the Northeast. They're New Yorkers.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had one, not dislike, but I guess one discomfort about the Seinfeld TV show, was that it's very New Yorky.
Yes.
And you can't argue with that. And if you're from the Big Apple or you're from the Northeast, you get it. You totally understand everything they discussed. If you're not, I thought it was interesting because they paved the way for the rest of the country to get to know New York City a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. And it was on about the same time as Friends. And even though Friends wasn't, I don't think either of them were shot in New York, but it was the top shows of the age were very New York centric.
For sure. And Gaffigan living in New York now and having done the comedy scene, as both of them did in New York, as well as other places. It's just a funny, it's an interesting sort of a dichotomy between the two of them. Gaffigan just seems more likable and funnier. And especially during the pandemic, if you've seen, they've done tens, if not hundreds of family comedy bits. The pandemic started. That's the Gaffigan family. So Seinfeld, not only does he not need the money, I can't picture him ever doing that, letting someone into his personal life enough to, show.
Well, and that's a very good a good point too, because Gaffigan is very open and about his family and makes fun of himself and his family.
Of his comedy bit, yeah.
It is. And Seinfeld has been very tight-lipped about his personal life.
Oh, big time.
Always. So, and there's nothing wrong with either. I don't think if you choose to be one way or another, that's perfectly okay. Agreed. I don't think I have no real need to see the internal workings of a celebrity's family. I don't care about that.
But I do. It is enjoyable, or you latch on to that person a little bit when if they bring up something that is common to many people.
Exactly. They're much more relatable.
For sure.
So But yeah, I agree with all of your points, but you never really said which one you think is truly funnier.
I'm a Jim Gaffigan fan.
Yeah,
And so,
I think we all kind of knew that, but I wanted you to
yeah.
say it out loud.
Well, because now I own it. I suppose. Hey, let's introduce our next guest. It's Jerry Seinfeld. Quaddy, I hate your guts. That'd be the first thing he would
Yeah.
say now because of that. On the other hand, if our guest is Jim Gaffigan, well, I'm sitting pretty.
Yeah. And you just did a Jim Gaffigan motion with your body too. Did you notice that? That is,
I think I do that subconsciously. No.
Probably. Yeah.
He does not.
Well, I know this doesn't go directly to one or the other comedian, but I thought it was very ironic once we got this request from Bill.
Yep.
I actually got an email because I have in my car Sirius XM radio.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor. You know, we don't really have to say that. I don't think anyone assumes that any of these are sponsors.
I don't think they assume it, but I think it would be funny if we listed. And here are the products that John and Nick mentioned, while none of them are sponsors, and it would be
exactly
long. Yeah,
right. But I don't know if you can see this.
I can. Carlin's Corner.
Carlin's Corner is a new channel. I don't know if I didn't really look into it very much to see if it's just a temporary one or if it's actually a full channel, but it is it's a channel to celebrate George Carlin's comedic legacy. And we've talked about Carlin on the podcast before, and I thought that was pretty neat. And it might be something I listen to for a little while. At least.
And then you can kind of give us some feedback on George Carlin. I still know the 7 words you can't say on TV.
Yeah.
And I think there are probably only 3 of them now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it depends on what TV you're talking about.
That's true. But even network TV, I think most of them have been said.
Yeah. So Peyton asked me something very funny the other day. She was sitting up here in my office, and I happen to have my office is an absolute wreck right now. We did a full clean around Peyton's birthday of the entire house, and my office, since it is on the 3rd floor and is both, I have 2 doors here off to my left that lead into the attic space, which is where we store everything. Sure. And then of course it's Halloween month, so stuff has come out of the attic so we can decorate the house. So my office is trashed right now, but I have a couple of old pictures here. I'll pull them up, get them up here for you. A couple of old pictures of myself when I was very young. I don't know where they came from, but can you see that?
Oh, you had hair.
I had hair. Yeah, I had blonde hair.
Tell people.
And then this is, I was about 3 because both of these were stamped 1981.
Oh my gosh. And is that,
that's my, nope, that's my cousin.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I don't have any real brothers or sisters.
I didn't think so. I thought you were an only.
That was my grandfather right there. He passed away that year, actually.
Oh.
So, anyway.
Wow. Cool.
Peyton was looking at these pictures and she's like, Daddy, that was a long time ago. Did you have television back then? Yes, dear. We had television. It's been around a long time. She said, were you addicted to it?
Oh, I love me some Peyton.
Yeah. Yeah. So I explained to her back then, we only had maybe 4 channels to choose from, unless you had cable. And even with cable, you only had about 15 channels to choose from. She has never had to deal with that.
No. Well, of course not. And we had 3 when I was growing up, 3 channels. And, I still remember many of the old shows because obviously I'm much older than you. The Ed Sullivan Show we would watch and Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
I loved that show.
It was a great show, but we would watch it as a family. And then we started fighting about shows that were in the same time slot. I wanted to watch Adam 12, and my older brother Dave wanted to watch Happy Days. And so of course, he always won because he put me in a figure 4 leg lock or some crap like that. No, you think I'm joking?
No, I don't think you're joking.
One of the channels we got was out of Rockford, Illinois, and it was one that it just had funny programming. It was an independent, as I recall, and we would get done with church on a Sunday and come home, and I want to say at 11 a.m. or so, they had All-Star Wrestling, and we would seldom miss All-Star Wrestling on a Sunday, oddly after church, and we would act out many of the holds and kicks and
that
all of
remained on television for a long time.
Well, and if you've heard of the Crusher, there was Vern Bockwinkel and oh my gosh, and some of these names, yes, and no, it wasn't Vern. It was Vern Gagne and Nick Bockwinkel. That's what.
There you go. Is Gagne or Gagne?
Gagne.
Yeah,
Vern Gagne, and then his son, I think, also was a wrestler. Anyway, it's just a funny thing. But all of these guys were kind of ahead of their time, especially these days when you watch some of the wrestling on TV.
My dad used to box. Way back in the early 80s. And he befriended someone who I can't remember his name. I'll probably think of it when I'm not trying to think of it. And at one point, he became a wrestling referee.
Your dad did?
No. His friend.
Got it.
So whenever there was something in the community, because these guys didn't just, they weren't these big stadiums. And I don't know, people who, I'm sure half of our listeners are familiar with what you and I are talking about. The other half is probably thinking,
these guys
all
are
of
idiots.
These pay-per-view wrestling shows and these huge stadiums and all these lights.
Like that.
No. They would come to small town gyms, high school gyms, and then they would record there.
Yeah.
And they would have these little shows in these high school gyms. So they would come around to all the different communities. And this guy, that's where I met Bockwinkel and
you met him?
I met him.
I had no idea. Oh my God.
He came to my hometown, and my dad, who knew the ref, got us tickets. And then after the show, because it is a show, guys.
Oh, for sure.
After the show, he took me back into the locker room to meet everybody.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, keep in mind, guys, I am not a wrestling fan. I had no freaking idea who any of these guys were. And we're not talking Hulk Hogan here. It's not big names. These are. So yes, I had the opportunity when I was very, very young to meet some of these people.
Very cool.
I have one question in regards to that.
Yes.
So you said you had 3 channels. Do you count PBS in that?
Oh no, we never had PBS.
You never had PBS. See, we had the 3 channels. We had NBC, CBS, ABC.
Yeah.
And then we had PBS.
Okay.
So there were 4 channels.
I don't think we had PBS until probably the 70s. I could be wrong.
Well, remember I was in the 70s and 80s. I don't even remember the 70s.
Yeah.
It was only 2 years of the 70s.
So yeah, in the 60s we had 3 channels.
Okay.
Yeah. And to my recollection anyway. But that was one of the that's the only thing I ever watched on Channel 13 out of Rockford. So I may be lying, and we may have had 4, but I'm pretty sure we did have the 3 primary networks, and 13 was an independent, and we just got it just because of our proximity to Rockford. We were in southern Wisconsin, so yeah.
I want to make sure. What was it? What was the first name of Bockwinkel?
Nick
Bockwinkel.
Yeah.
I want to make sure
He was
because
blonde, had kind of blondish hair, and all of those guys looked similar because they weren't steroided up.
Yep, I did meet him. I remember him specifically. That's hilarious.
But if you look up Vern Gagne, he was just a kind of a regular looking Joe, bald, and so obviously he was a dick because he was bald. Anybody?
He looks familiar too.
Just kidding.
He looks so. Bockwinkel died in 2015.
Oh, okay.
I'm just seeing if.
So search
So did Vern Gagne.
Oh, in 2015.
Yeah, in Bloomington, Minnesota.
At the same party. Yeah, he was a Minnesota guy.
Yeah.
Look up the Crusher because there is a statue to him in Milwaukee. And I don't remember what his name was.
I've seen him on television before. Yeah, he looks familiar as well.
But
he died in 2005 in Milwaukee.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But white hair, gray hair, probably.
Yep. And this one, he's got white. It's blondish white. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. Does it say his name?
Reginald Lewinsky.
Oh, gosh.
Lizowski.
The Crusher is much easier to remember.
Yeah.
and
That's
pronounce.
probably why. But good Pollock.
How about it?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I want to find. I can't remember that name.
What, another name?
No, of the guy who I was thinking of wrestling in.
With Nick Bockwinkel?
Yeah.
Billy Robinson was another guy, and he was from the UK. And wow, he was my boy. He was something else in the ring. He did something called the Greco-Roman knuckle lock. And he would just like psych out people. He'd hold his hands up like this and dare people to interlock fingers with him.
Wow.
So, because you knew when he was going to do that and his opponent would engage, he was going to win the match. It was as simple as that.
Right.
But really, really an awesome guy. Yeah. Billy Robinson was around. Well, you don't have to do all the searches, but he was around for some time. There he is.
So I'm going to do something I rarely do, guys.
Uh-oh.
Yep. I am texting my father to find out the name of this dude.
Cool. Well, good. It'll be fun to hear what he has to say about it.
If you
get your dad on the show and he could talk more about it.
Right? So we have John and I have a friend that we work with. He used to actually be my boss, actually kind of both of our bosses at one point, who we make fun of all the time because he has one-word answers. And I think he might be listening right now. He's really good at that. He actually prides himself on the one-word answers.
I know.
That would be my dad.
Funny.
Yeah.
Well, we'd have to ask better questions then. That would help
right.
us with our questioning techniques.
All right, let's see if he answers.
He's going to answer with yes.
Yeah, exactly. No, he'll probably say his last name.
So check on chat and
check on
that
chat
link real quickly, and then it will. That's the Billy Robinson I was talking about.
He looks like what? He looks scary.
Oh, not at
looks
all.
Like Sloth.
He was one of the good guys.
Really? He looks like Sloth from Goonies.
He was one of the good guys. Oh, come on with Goonies. I tried to watch Goonies.
Yeah.
On the plane. I got like 8 minutes in and I could not watch anymore. I was only watching it for you. And I thought, you know what, Nick would be impressed and we could talk about it. And it's, oh my gosh.
It's a great 80s movie.
It's an 80s movie. And I think that's probably enough said.
Yeah.
So, but I know it's your favorite, so I didn't want to. I was trying not to let you know.
If you looked at it from a cinematic standpoint, it's not a great movie. I will recognize that, but it is one of those things that just, you latch onto something that got you through. I wouldn't say hard times. I mean, it wasn't hard, but I used to watch it when I got sick or it showed up on the Disney Channel or something like that, and it just kind of became one of those things. So it's like, it's my favorite thing, or it's my favorite movie, Goonies, not because it's a phenomenal movie.
Goonies is your Princess Bride.
There you go. For a lot of people, that's exactly it.
No, it's just you.
No
one else thinks that. I love
we actually, we had a coworker on our meeting yesterday talk about the fact that she watched Goonies for the first time and hated it as well. So
I didn't hate it. I just couldn't watch it. And it's probably, it's probably just because I was on a plane and it wasn't great. So here's what I watched last night coming home. Crazy Stupid Love.
That's a good one too.
I really enjoyed that. Steve Carell is awesome.
He always is. Yeah.
It's, is it Ryan Gosling?
Yep.
Goslin, is that
Gosling?
He was really funny. Funnier than
you don't expect.
No, it was just good, certainly good casting.
Yeah.
In the whole movie, but I was. Oh my gosh! And when you see things start to come together at the end, it's really fun. But I didn't get to see the very ending because the internet went out. I was timing it. That it's going to be, as soon as we land, and this has happened before where, you get done, you watch the end of the movie, and you're at the gate.
Yeah. I hate that. I hate that. Well, First time I saw Captain America, the Winter Soldier, I missed the last 10 minutes of it because we got to the gate.
And that's about what it was.
Buy the freaking movie.
That's what it was, because it's free on the plane. and seriously, I'm a third of the way into the movie, and suddenly, oh, you are no longer able to watch.
Yeah.
What the? And
Yeah.
sure enough, they had to reset the internet. So it cost me 10 minutes. And I missed the last 10 minutes of the movie. So I'm assuming it finished well. But anyway,
I'm sure it did.
It was, I'm sure it did too. I will somehow probably see if I can get the last 10 minutes. I just want the last 10. I'll pay you a dime.
Poddius interruptus.
I do want to say I love my dog now that he's getting a little bit older. And this is his birthday month, by the way.
Clyde, happy birthday, Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde's both of their birthdays.
So how old are they?
I think they're 5, 4, 4 or 5, something like that. I don't even know.
Nice.
But he's just quietly. Peyton brought up. I bought Peyton. I'll show you. I know our listeners can't. I can't. Hold on.
Oh no.
Bought Peyton a stuffed. You see how messy my office is? So it's a stuffed unicorn.
Unicorn, yeah. It's
but
huge.
He's just cuddled up on it and just being a sweet boy. He's been a sweet. We had a political person come by for a Senate person. Had come to the door yesterday while I was cooking dinner, and normally my dogs go nuts. And they did a little bit until I opened the door. But I was telling Jen about this morning. Clyde just stuck his head between my legs and sat down and just kind of stared. I'm like, why don't you do that all the time? I mean, I just love it. Anyway, I wanted to circle back to Goonies because we were talking about movies here, which is also going to loop us back to the very beginning of the podcast when we were talking about the CSA.
This is why we continually go in circles. You know,
I was going to say I'm really good at this because I'm closing out by circling all the way back to the beginning.
Okay, this should be good. Here is some podcasting brilliance.
Yeah, it only took us 2 years to get this good.
Wow.
So Goonies, one of the things that I really like about Goonies is, and I've mentioned this, I think, on the last 2 podcasts, this is my favorite time of year. Mm-hmm. In Goonies, it's the fall. It's always rainy in the movie. It's always, the colors are coming out on the leaves, and it's a gorgeous scene, I guess, if you want to set it up. It's kind of my dream scene. Well, today, Hurricane Delta, I guess it's not a hurricane anymore, it might still be a hurricane, is coming up through the southeast, and it's actually
fast moving.
It's fast moving, and it is impacting us, not much. I mean, it's just a very light rain outside right now, but it's rainy. All the leaves are changing. I live, my road coming into my house my neighborhood is high enough where when it's rainy like this, we get that low fog. The low clouds that come through. So you've got the pops of color. You've got the nice rainy. It's like a scene out of a movie.
Wow.
It's so wonderful. I love it. We took the scenic route all the way to the farm stand with the CSA. And I mean, it is perfect weather. It's low 60s. Mm-hmm. And I was wearing my raincoat. I love it. I absolutely love it.
And if you could see Nick right now, you could tell by the glee in his face. On his face.
On my face. Yeah. The glee in my face, that'd be a little bit tough.
Well, I would assume that would be an injection of some sort.
I think might be the end of the name. Glee in my face.
Your cheeks are so high.
Yeah.
Yes, I have glee in my face.
High, but it's maybe not my cheeks.
High cheekbones.
High cheekbones, yeah. So anyway, that was awesome. That was what I was getting to with the CSA stuff.
Nice description, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And on that note, if you want to hear more descriptions, more descriptors, or
on that note,
what the hell was that? Oh, Jesus. That was bad.
Awesome. There are so many people that are going, listen to Nick just talking over John's brilliance.
I want everyone to understand that there were a number of people that said John was funnier when we had that question. I hope you all just changed your mind.
That's going to be the next potty corner. Which comedian is funnier, John or Nick?
That would be easy to debate. I'd win.
You would not win. You're not that funny.
You don't know who I'm going to choose. I didn't say I was going to argue me.
Oh, I see.
Wow. I am surprised those headphones still fit you with how big your ego and head.
Have a massive skull, but as we said in the last podcast, my friend Matt has a bigger one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was delighted. I know. He texted me. And if you don't remember, my buddy Matt, who I didn't name by name in that podcast, but he knew who it was. He said, "Yes, you're right. I wear a 3X." And then he sent me a GIF of the Macy's Day Parade.
Oh, wow.
Because you remember we talked about the size of one of the floats. Anyway, so I'm glad that not get easily offended. And
well, we try not to make fun of anyone who can get easily offended on this program. But if you want to be easily offended,
come back next time.
Come back next time. Bring a friend. Let a friend know.
You know what?
And if you introduce them, we'll say that again.
We should have our listeners just have like a potty party.
A potty party.
Yes, where they invite over, I don't know, 50 of their closest friends, and then give them liquor, and then listen to Potty Mouths.
Well, they definitely need to give them liquor before they listen to the podcast. That's just kind of a given. Yeah, right. Anyway, if you would like for us to offend your ears or someone else's, please visit PoddiMouths.com. You can head up there and see some of our past guests, including Mr. Bill Taylor, the vehicle what?
Nanny.
And there's a link to Patched Overalls, which we haven't talked about in a while, but that's Mr. Tyson Schaffner's.
Tyson, great guy.
Yeah. It's his foundation or
scholarship.
Thank you. Scholarship.
Yeah.
I don't know why that word just does not. Maybe because I never got one when I was a kid. For college or anything.
Not
smart enough. Obviously, I'm not smart enough. I had to go out and have a podcast.
You may not have, and you got your master's degree. I did get a scholarship, and I turned into a piece of shit.
Anywho, head up to PoddiMouths.com for that shit. And leave
Potty Corner. What are we going to do next time for Potty?
Yeah, we want to know what you think of. Give us your feedback if you want us to debate more comedians, or if you have another idea that's just fun. We do have a couple more that we have in our back pocket if need be, but we still want a ton more.
Yep.
We could even debate the difference between brewing your own beer or wine.
That's a good idea.
That's a good one.
If we have any brewers in the audience, that would be great to hear.
That would be. If you want that, if you want to debate that, we can bring someone on as a guest. That's the other part of it we haven't been able to do because we don't know any good comedians except for John. Wow. And he's not even that good.
And I make you laugh, so I think it's just an easy.
That's true. You do make me laugh, but just looking at your face, I'll laugh.
Yes, that's why my mother can't be on the air with me.
That's true. And we didn't swear nearly as much as the last episode, so she could probably listen to this one.
Maybe.
Anyway, go up there, head out to our social media accounts and let us know if you have any opinions, or send an email to poddymouths@gmail.com. What else am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something.
You're not. You can do everything. It's the clearinghouse at PoddiMouths.com. And don't forget to check the merch store while you're there. Get your Potty Mouths mask. It really is pretty cool. And it's very breathable too, as you said, Nick, from the start. And grab a t-shirt while you're there. And maybe,
why not?
What else do we have? Do we have underwear up there?
No, not yet. I'm working on that. I'm trying to use up as much underwear as possible so I can put it up there. Used underwear, it goes for a lot more.
Not on this show, it doesn't.
You know what else you can get from our website right now? I don't even know if John knows this yet. I was talking about the fact that my cup was half full of coffee.
Nice.
Well, there is now a button up there that if you don't want to go to the merch store and buy us stuff, you don't want to go to Patreon, go up there and buy us a cup of coffee. You can now buy us a cup of coffee from our website.
It better be good coffee. That's all I'm saying.
That's right. Damn it. Anyway, folks, it's been real.
Thanks, listener.
It's been fun. It hasn't been real fun.
No, it never is. It's Potty Mouths.
It's true.
See you next time.